Welcome to the Find My Catalyst podcast. It is 2025, and this is not the first episode that's going live this year, but it is my kickoff solo episode. And if you're watching the video, you'll see me in a Santa Cruz Banana Slugs t-shirt, which comes from Pulp Fiction. It is the shirt that John Travolta's character Vince wears when the wolf helps kind of clean things up. And that is tied to the series that I wrapped up in December, which is Merry and Bright. Season 6 happened. If you haven't watched it, go back and check it out on the YouTube channel. I think you'll find it pretty interesting, or at least entertaining. There are lessons that apply to business and life and leadership from movies, from great movies that came out in the 90s. All right, let's kick off 2025. 2024 was an awesome year. 2024 was a year of clarity. I'm going to share a couple of names of people as I go through this because, as that African proverb stated, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And it required going far with a number of different people to help me kind of get through both 2024 and be prepared for 2025 as Jen and I continue to build out the business, and we focus on things like the Leader Lab and guided whiteboard sessions. And I'll share a bit about some of the products and services that we're focused on as we move into this next year. I also wrapped up a series on LinkedIn around how do we improve at questions, simplifying the questions so that we can do better research, we can do better discovery, we can get a better understanding of things, get better context, avoid blind spots, and identify next logical steps and start taking them. So that's the hexagon back here. What, who, why, how, when, and what's next, that short-term, medium-term, long-term plan. Let's talk about what's next. What's on the docket for 2025? I'm going to lay out a couple of different goals for 2025. And I have goals that are both personal, goals that are specific to the family, and then goals that are specific to the business. And on the business side, two primary goals. Number one, get to 100 people in the Leader Lab by the end of June. That was a goal that we had last year. We did not hit it. The goal was to do it by the end of May. This year, we're going to say by the end of June. And we're excited about feedback that we get from people who have been a part of it. There are a number of amazing people that are a part of it. If you are a leader who thinks different so that you can do different and ultimately be different, know that leadership starts with self, and leaders build leaders, then the Leader Lab might be just the place for you. It's a group, it's a community group, membership group. We can come up with a couple of different words for it, but ultimately it's a group of people who know that leaders build leaders, leaders start with self, and we need to continue to test and push ourselves to be the leader that we can be and create the leaders that we want to create for the world. This is both a passion project and something that I am deeply committed to. How do we build better leaders out there? Leaders who think different, do different, and ultimately are different. If it sounds interesting to you, check out the Leader Lab. Again, our goal is to get to 100 people by the end of June. Our long-term goal is to get to 1,000 people in the group. And ultimately, the reason we're doing this is because we want to create outsized impact across the world and address the leadership gap that continues to persist. My view on leadership: if you're looking for leadership, start with a mirror. Leaders build leaders, and leadership starts with self. So that's the Leader Lab, and that's one of the goals that we have there as we move into 2025, excuse me. Excuse my voice. This is going to be a little bit rougher this time. I'm going to have to do a little bit more editing just because cough and breathing and whatnot. So that's our objective on the Leader Lab side of things. On the guided whiteboard sessions, my goal there is to conduct 200 guided whiteboard sessions by the end of the year. Guided whiteboard sessions where we facilitate collaborative sessions with teams of up to 10 people for up to 90 minutes, focused on either solving a problem, designing for a specific solution or experience to achieve a result, or align on strategy and tactics to achieve a result. So there's an alignment, there's a design, and then there's a problem-solving component. And ultimately, what is demonstrated is effective facilitation, guiding, and communication through asking questions and pulling information out of your head, your team's head, getting it up on the whiteboard, and creating a level of alignment. It's been really interesting as we've been doing the market feasibility stuff around this. one of the things that we've noticed is people are asking a couple of questions. One, could this be a team building exercise? And it can be. It wasn't what we were originally thinking about, but just like most things, when you go out there and you start testing in the market, you start to see things a little bit differently. You start to think a little bit differently. So yes, we can use this for team building. Another one of the questions that comes up is, will you teach my team how to do this? Will you show us how to do it? That's another thing that we can do. Ultimately, we're using Catalyst tools, or I'm using Catalyst tools to guide these conversations. And that's why I can guarantee results when it comes to either solving a problem inside that 90-minute period, designing for a specific solution or experience, or aligning on strategy and tactics, because we're applying on the aligning on strategy and tactics game plan, on the solving a problem, the hexagon, and on the design for experience, it's process mapping and design using design thinking. I'm really kind of working through next logical steps as we go through the process and conversions that we're looking at. That's how I can guarantee results there. So yes, I can train members of your team to be able to do this inside your organization if that's something you're interested in. And I was surprised to hear that people were interested in that. The third thing that I've heard that was pretty interesting is, can you teach our sales team how to do this? Ultimately, these are sales tools. Problem solving is an account plan framework that I developed back when I was at O'Reilly to help build scale inside that organization, and I've deployed it across many of the organizations that I work inside. The design aspect applies things like understanding process from both a customer perspective, an internal perspective, and a rep approach. This uses game boards to help with this design. And the game plan ultimately comes from the combination of Dare to Grow and how we go to market, but my personal operating system, how I achieve results and how I help others achieve results. So yes, there can be a training aspect of it. So those are the two primary goals this year. Number 1, 100 people in the Leader Lab. Number 2, 200 guided whiteboard sessions. Now, why? Why are those goals important to me? My view, if we can get to 100 people inside the Leader Lab, we will expand our reach and help build better leaders out there in the marketplace. It's a very exciting thing for me. I believe that there's this gap in leadership that exists. It continues to persist out there. And the reason why I think the gap continues to persist is because we spend too much time, energy, and attention focusing on executive leaders or senior leaders who, in many cases, are set in their own ways and are going through the motions when organizations invest in that development. The other thing that we tend to do is we identify high potentials, and sometimes those high potentials are identified based on their skill set, their capability, what they've done. It's not necessarily driven by what they want to do in the future. Well, what if we actually started focusing on building leadership skills at the front line? We built better leaders out there inside our organizations. We took the mindset of leaders build leaders and applied it inside organizations. How might that change the leadership challenge and create this group of leaders inside organizations who lead self well, have earned the right to lead another person well, have then earned the right to lead teams well, and then lead teams of teams well, and address the leadership gap from the front line. The reason that's important to me is I don't want my kids to grow up and be a part of organizations where they have to deal with shit leadership. And I've had demonstrated success in helping build leadership capability with people that I've worked with, both in a coaching capacity, in a fractional leadership capacity, and back in my W-2 days. I'm going to figure out how to solve this problem. Jen and I are working together to solve this problem. We've got a group of people who've come together as initial Leader Lab participants. We're up to 24 people inside the group and really excited about where we're going and what we're doing next on that side. Now let's talk about the guided whiteboard sessions. It's kind of funny. I had an interesting conversation with Ryan Milligan over at QuotaPath earlier this year, and he asked, hey, could you do this with my team? I said, yeah, I can. I do it with teams that I work with in a fractional capacity. Why not do it with a specific small team at a sales offsite event? And we went through the problem-solving framework as a team. It wasn't training people on the problem-solving framework. It was actually getting the information out of their head, their expertise, getting them engaged, and getting the information up on the whiteboard. And the feedback from that session was that it was awesome. They started to think a bit differently about the way that they were approaching some problems in the market. Ryan has shared a testimonial. I appreciate the testimonial. If you want to read the testimonial, check it out on our website. Ultimately, if you want to create an environment where your team is engaged, they think different so that they can do different, ultimately lead self better, a guided whiteboard session could be just the thing. We spend and waste so much time in meetings. And the reason why I believe we spend and waste so much time in meetings is because we go into those meetings thinking that we're going to have a collaborative discussion when ultimately all we want to do is communicate information. That's an information dissemination meeting where we're pushing information out. Many times those meetings could just be an email or a video. Now, if you expect there to be questions and answers so that people kind of learn a little bit faster and engage and you understand where your blind spots are, then that's an awesome meeting to convey information with question and answer. So that's one job to be done in a meeting. The second job to be done in a meeting is to make a decision. And in order to make a decision effectively, you need to make sure that everybody has all of the information that they need in order to make that decision. So we pull all the information together, and ultimately people have to read the information before they come together as a group. So that would be a decision-making meeting. You want to share information in advance and share what the criteria that is going to be used to make that decision. You also want to make sure that you bring the right people into that meeting, the people who are connected with the problem or the decision or the thing that you're working through, or have a different view that might help understand and assess risk. The third type of meeting, which is the one that I'm addressing in these guided whiteboard sessions, and if you're interested in that, please check out findmycatalyst.com/whiteboard. In this guided whiteboard session, this is about pulling a group of people together, bringing together a team of up to 10 people for up to 90 minutes in a virtual environment. We'll do it with this camera, with the microphones, with the whiteboard setup that I've got, so that we can work through a process together and engage highly interactive process where we build together to either solve a problem, design for a solution, or align on strategy and tactics. And ultimately, my commitment to you is we will achieve the result within that 90-minute period. There will be clear next steps as a result of that 90-minute discussion. And you'll be able to hold your team accountable to doing the things. We'll know who is going to do what by when as a result of the work that we do. Now, I can help on the accountability side after the fact. That's a little bit separate. But if this sounds interesting to you, please hit the website up and work through the process. Ultimately, there's a design call where we talk about what you're looking to do. We have to agree we're either going to solve a problem, design for a solution, or align on strategy tactics. If you're trying to do anything else other than that, this isn't the right fit for you. And I guarantee results. And I know many people who can actually do that or will say it out loud. So my goal there is to do 200 of those here in the next 12 months. The reason that that's important to me is because I'm tired of the amount of time that we waste in meetings. I'm tired of the amount of time that we talk about the same things over and over again and don't move forward. I'm tired about continuing to do the same things over and over again and expecting different results, but not achieving those. I'm going to be part of the solution and help leaders like you improve at problem solving, design, and execution, alignment, strategy, and tactics by using the tool set that I've created over 25 some odd years. Apply it within your team so that we get to that result. And ultimately, output is you'll have a plan, you'll have identified next logical steps, you know who's going to do what, you have some timing associated with it, and you might even want to decide to go and do more of this kind of work with your team. Stop wasting your team's time with crap meetings. So those are the two big business goals. The why behind them all relates to addressing the leadership gap. The how, there's the leader lab in one instance, and the how is the guided whiteboard sessions in another instance. So those are a couple of things I'm really excited about with the business. Super high level of clarity, and where that kind of comes from, or how we got here, was an awesome conversation I had with Jeff Bajorek when he was out here earlier in the fall, and we've got a chance to play a little bit of golf. We talked through a couple of things. We talked through some of the things that are firing me up, and this push toward leadership is the thing that's really got me energized. Why? Because it's a gap that it continues to affect our businesses, how we make money, our family, the people that are important to us, and self. And the area where we have the greatest amount of control is on self. So if we work with self first, Stoic philosophy, we will build better capability. We can do the things that are inside our control, and then we can earn the right. Leslie Vanetz likes to use that phrase in the context of earning the right and working with customers. We earn the right to lead. We earn the right to engage with customers. We earn the right to communicate, earn the right to move forward with people, which is what leadership is. Leadership is how we move forward. When we earn the right to work better with our teams, lead better with our teams, you'll be shocked by the type of results that you'll find out there. And it was through the conversation with Jeff that I gained this high level of clarity of, hey, maybe I'm just trying to do too much. And Jen and I had talked about it for a while, and sometimes it's just hard to get that message through, especially to me, of, hey, you can't do all of the things, because if you do all of the things, you're not going to get the big things done. And what will end up happening is I will put others ahead of me, and I'll do all of those other things and then not have time to catch up and get the main things done that we need to get done. High level of clarity and focus as we move into 2025. I'm basically eating my own dog food. I'm working through the game plan. I'm creating my 30, 60, 90s, my 6 2-week sprints inside each quarter to help us improve at execution inside our business. Focusing on leadership, building out leadership skills. My view on leadership is leadership starts with self. My attitude and belief. My mindset on leadership is leadership starts with self. I need to start with this level of self-awareness and self-confidence. And another friend, Randy Sudecker, reminded me the importance of self-worth. And self-worth is one of those things where if self-worth is out of balance, you can quickly get yourself into a situation where you start to move into depression or feel imposter syndrome take on. If you don't have that high level of self-worth, at least assess your self-worth appropriately. So Randy, thanks for reminding me of that and helping me get past a very big blind spot in the leadership wheel. Leadership starts with self. That's the attitude and belief. We build self-worth, self-awareness, self-confidence. We assess on those things. Once we're in a good place there, then we've earned the right, go back to Leslie, to build specific skills. And the 5 core leadership skills, you've heard me mention them a couple of times in this podcast already, but the 5 core skills are problem solving, decision-making, goal setting and execution, design, and communication. And when we build those 5 skills, we then get ourselves into a situation where we will both be able to think critically and think creatively. And if we think critically, we think creatively, we will think different, do different, and ultimately be different and make outsized impact on the world. So that was a lesson we learned in 2024. People didn't know what a preneur was. Entrepreneur, solopreneur. The way I define it is someone who thinks different so that they can do different, create outsized impact. It ultimately created confusion. So the level of clarity, moving things back to leadership, focusing on leadership, has helped us get to where we are, specifically with the goals around Leader Lab and guided whiteboard sessions. How I make money today still is in the fractional work. A couple of clients that I work with in that capacity, some have been with me for a very long period of time, some a little bit less longer. We'll continue to grow and build the business on that side as we build out our capabilities, both in the Leader Lab and the guided whiteboard sessions. Ultimately, I want to make impact and I want to accelerate speed to impact. And I believe that there's an opportunity to do so in these areas. I've also partnered up with a couple of people. Tim Dick and I are partnering up on a fractional recruiting practice and placement. How do we help bridge the gap between people who have a high level of expertise out there in the marketplace? And if you happen to be one of those, if you're an executive who has experience, you're an operator, you've done the work, you know how to do the work, you've played the game before, you've seen the movie, you've played in the movie, you've written the movie, you've directed the movie, you've done all of those things, get engaged with Tim and I in the context of human resources, finance, accounting, operations, revenue-related roles, sales, marketing, success. You have a level of expertise that you've created over a career, and you can help so many companies out there applying that expertise inside that organization, help them build better leadership capability inside that organization, build the future leaders who can run those areas of operation. That's why I'm excited about what Tim and I are working on, specifically in the fractional recruiting, fractional placement space. Now, if you're a business owner who's out there thinking, why go fractional? I don't want to do fractional. If I do fractional, then I've only got part of a person's mind. That's the benefit. You can actually save a lot of money and accelerate speed to impact by using a fractional resource. I've done fractional work inside my practice for a number of years. This is the 9th year of Catalyst. Mike and I left our W-2 roles in January. Actually, it was February 4th of 2016. And, Mike is doing other things now. I continue to beat my head against the wall and continue to push forward because I have a level of grit and resilience associated with building. And that's what I want to do. So I continue to go out here and build. And this is the next iteration of Catalyst. Now, I don't know. We're kind of going through the process of trying to figure out, maybe you can help me with this. We're going through the process of trying to figure out, does it make sense to rename the company Mike Simmons Consulting? Maybe it does. I don't know. Catalyst Acts is the current name. Nothing happens without action, advising, coaching, training, speaking. Again, with the end in mind, want to build out the speaking part of it. So that's where we've come up with the name. I think you find your catalyst, that nudge to start doing the things you want to do better and faster. You will accelerate speed to impact. You'll make outsized impact on the world. So there's the background on it. So excited about working with Tim. Thankful for guidance from Jeff. Thankful for the friendship with Leslie and Randy. And thankful for the partnership that I have with Jen as we continue to build and move forward and lean on you to help spread the word, help get the message out there. So if there's something you'd like to see me talk about more on the podcast, please let me know that. If you have specific questions you want me to answer, send those questions to podcast@findmycatalyst.com. If you have guests that you'd like to see on the podcast, share those with me as well. There are no shortage of people who ask to be on the podcast. Unfortunately, there's a lot of spam that's out there, and people want to come out because they want to promote their message, not necessarily serve our customer base or our listener base. If you are a listener of the Find My Catalyst podcast, I do look at you as a customer. You may not be a paying customer yet. You're someone who I want to help. You're someone who I want to serve. You're someone who I want to support. And if there's a way for me to serve, support, or help you, please let me know. On the personal side, I am going to take some time and really focus on building self here in 2025. For this first couple of weeks, there's a lot of work that I need to do from a health and fitness perspective, and I've let that go for a long time. Part of it's because I'm so focused on building aspects of the business. And those are important decisions to make. So I'm operating with a high level of intention. Now I need to start to shift and change priorities a little bit. So from a personal health perspective, I have some weight objectives, put them out there right now. I would like to be under 200 pounds and under 14% body fat before the end of April. That is my goal. That is my objective. Under 200 pounds and under 14% body fat by the end of April. If I go stretch goal, it's actually under 190 and under 12%. We'll see what we can do to get there. I'm getting a little bit older. Weight doesn't come off the same way. So that's a personal goal. From a family goal perspective, help the kids continue to be successful. So on the family side, it's helping the family continue to move forward. I tend to go very process, tools, systems oriented when it comes to this kind of stuff. My mindset, my attitude and belief around family is they're the people that are important to you. They're the people that are important to us. They're the thing that will continue to carry on legacy far beyond when we're gone. And we've lost a couple of really important people here over the course of the last year, including Jen's dad, who, from my perspective, we lost back in 2021 when his brain started going. And when you watch someone change over a period of time and you see people not be the same as they once were, that memory can be really hard to deal with it. I don't know how to deal with it properly other than to celebrate the amazing impact that Bud and Carol have both had on me. I've known them as long as I've known Jen, and I've known them more than half my life, and they are family. So, Bud, Carol, thank you for everything that you've done. And I know you both are in a better place together. So that's the kickoff for 2024. Let's kind of end things. That was a little bit of a celebration for both Bud and Carol at the end there. Let's end things on a really positive note and a recap. Number one, we are going to get to 100 people inside the Leader Lab. If you know of somebody who is working on building leadership skills and wants to grow and build together, please check out the Leader Lab. If you have questions about it, ask me directly. I would love to see you in there. If you're listening to this podcast, you're probably a good fit for the Leader Lab. If you're looking for your community to help you think different, do different, ultimately be different in the context of building your own leadership capabilities, building the leadership capabilities of others, building self, please check it out. Second goal, 200 guided whiteboard sessions. If you are struggling with spending too much time in meetings and having those meetings not get where you want them to go, you spend time talking about the same things over and over again, but not getting the results you want, and you want to operate in a collaborative environment, and your team happens to be remote, in a virtual environment, I've got a solution for you. It'd be worth the conversation. My goal is to get to 200 of those guided whiteboard sessions and then figure out where we go from there. That is my objective there. On my side, 200 is a big number. So on my side, I want to get under 200 pounds and under 14% body fat and do that by the end of April. So we've laid out an annual goal, the 200 by the end of the year, a half-year goal, the 100 in the Leader Lab, and a little bit stretch outside of the quarter just because of a timing thing, which is the weight goal by the end of the first quarter. If you know somebody who would enjoy this conversation, enjoy the information shared, find value in it, please share it with them. The shares help. Let me know what questions you have, what you'd like me to address in the podcast. Let me know if you want me to make any changes to the format. The objective here is to help you find your catalyst, that nudge to start doing the things you are meant to do them better and faster, ultimately accelerating speed to impact. Sales is a thinking process. Business is a thinking process. Life is a thinking process. How are you thinking different about your process? Thanks. Let's have an awesome 2024.